Captain Lee Minho stood on the bridge of the defense station New Seoul, watching the massive alien ship approach through the viewscreen. The vessel was unlike anything humans had ever seen. It looked like a giant crystal mountain floating through space, with bright blue lights pulsing along its surface. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission," said Communications Officer Park Yeri. Her voice shook slightly as she spoke. "Put it through," Minho replied, straightening his uniform. This was humanity's first contact with alien life, and he wanted to make a good impression. The screen flickered and two alien faces appeared. One looked like it was made of living crystal, with sharp angles and glowing blue eyes. The other was a mix of metal and flesh, with tubes and wires running through its skin. "Greetings, primitive beings," said the crystal alien in perfect English. "I am Commander Velthar of the Nethys Empire. This is War Prime Gorthak of the Vex Dominion. We have come to evaluate your species." Minho felt a chill at the word primitive, but he kept his voice steady. "Welcome to human space. I am Captain Lee Minho. We are honored to meet you." Both aliens made sounds that might have been laughter. The metal flesh creature Gorthak spoke next. "Honored? How amusing. We have been watching your pathetic attempts at space travel. Chemical rockets? Fusion drives? You are barely past the Stone Age." On Earth, in the underground command center beneath Seoul, Admiral Park Jisoo watched the conversation with growing concern. Around her, dozens of officers monitored the alien ships that had appeared throughout the solar system. There were hundreds of them, each one larger and more advanced than humanity's best warships. "Ma'am," whispered Colonel Kim Tae-hyung, the chief scientist, "our scans show their weapons are beyond anything we have. Those ships could destroy our entire fleet without breaking a sweat." Jisoo nodded grimly. She had expected this day would come eventually, but not like this. Not with humanity so unprepared. Back on the station, Commander Velthar continued speaking. "We have examined your technology. Your weapons are laughably weak. Your ships are slow and clumsy. Your entire civilization could be conquered by a single one of our patrol vessels. However," Gorthak added, "we are not without mercy. We will give you a choice. You may surrender to the Nethys Empire and serve as workers on their mining worlds, or you may be harvested by the Vex Dominion to become components in our bioships. Either way, your suffering will be minimal." Minho's hands clenched into fists, but he forced himself to remain calm. "And if we refuse both options? Then you will be destroyed," Velthar said simply. "But that would be wasteful. You primitives may be weak, but you can still be useful. We will give you 72 of your Earth hours to decide," Gorthak announced. "Gather your leaders and choose wisely. This is the only mercy you will receive." The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in shocked silence. Minho turned to his communications officer. "Get me a direct line to Earth Command. Priority Alpha." Within minutes, Admiral Jisoo's face appeared on the screen. "Captain, I saw everything. Both alien fleets are positioning themselves in our outer system. The crystal ships are moving toward Jupiter and the bioships are heading for Saturn." "Orders, ma'am?" Minho asked. "Return to Earth immediately. We're calling an emergency session of the Global Defense Council. Every nation's leaders need to hear this." As the shuttle carried Minho back to Earth, he stared out at the stars. Somewhere out there, two massive alien fleets waited for humanity's answer. The weight of his species' future pressed down on him like a mountain. In Geneva, the emergency session was chaos. Representatives from every nation shouted and argued. Some wanted to surrender to the Nethys, believing slavery was better than death. Others preferred the Vex option, thinking a quick end was more merciful. A few brave souls called for resistance, but their voices were drowned out by fear. "We have no choice," shouted the European delegate. "Look at their ships. Look at their weapons. We're insects compared to them. Maybe we can negotiate," suggested the African representative. "Perhaps they'll accept partial surrender, or we can offer them something else they want." Admiral Jisoo listened to the arguments for hours before finally standing up. The room gradually fell silent as all eyes turned to her. "You're all missing the point," she said quietly. "They didn't come here to negotiate. They came here to take inventory. We're not people to them. We're resources." She activated the holographic display, showing the alien fleets in detail. The crystal aliens, the Nethys, see us as free labor. The bio-aliens, the Vex, see us as raw materials. Neither of them considers us intelligent life worth preserving. "Then what do you suggest?" asked the American president. "We can't fight them. Our weapons are useless against their technology. Jisoo smiled grimly. They called us primitive. They looked at our ships, our weapons, our technology, and they dismissed us. But they made one critical mistake. What mistake? Asked the Chinese premier. They never studied us. They never looked at human history. They don't know what happens when humans are backed into a corner with no way out. Dr. Kim Tae-hyung, who had been quietly taking notes, looked up. Admiral, what are you thinking? I'm thinking about David and Goliath, Jisoo replied. I'm thinking about the Battle of Thermopylae. I'm thinking about every time in human history when a smaller, weaker force defeated a larger, stronger one through cunning and determination. The room erupted in protests. This isn't ancient history. Someone shouted. These aliens have technology we can't even understand. Exactly, Jisoo said, her voice cutting through the noise. They have advanced technology, but we have something they don't expect and clearly don't understand. Human ingenuity. She turned to address the entire assembly. We're not going to surrender to either of them. We're going to do what humans do best when faced with impossible odds. We're going to adapt, we're going to learn, and we're going to survive. But how? Asked the Japanese representative. By being exactly what they think we are, Jisoo answered. Primitive, unpredictable, and far more dangerous than they realize. As the session continued late into the night, plans began to form. Not plans for surrender, but plans for something the aliens would never expect from primitive humans. Plans that would make them regret their dismissal of Earth's children. Outside, the alien fleets waited in the darkness of space, confident in their superiority and certain of humanity's surrender. They had no idea that their greatest mistake was not recognizing that being primitive and being powerless were two very different things. The countdown had begun, 72 hours to save the human race. Commander Bae Suzy floated in the cargo hold of the modified transport ship Silent Runner, checking her equipment one final time. Around her, 20 other members of the reconnaissance team prepared for the most dangerous mission in human history. Remember, she whispered into her comm unit. We're space junk, dead satellites, old probe parts, anything but human scouts. Stay cold, stay quiet, and stay invisible. The Silent Runner and dozens of other modified civilian ships drifted toward the alien fleets positioned in the outer solar system. Each ship had been painted matte black and covered with debris to look like floating wreckage. Their engines were shut down, using only tiny thrusters for course corrections. 60 hours remained until the aliens' deadline. In the asteroid belt, engineer Oh Se-hoon supervised the frantic work of converting mining equipment into something far more dangerous. Hundreds of workers from the mining colonies had volunteered for the mission, bringing their giant excavators or processors and construction mechs. The beauty of mining equipment, Se-hoon explained to his team, is that it's designed to break things apart and move heavy objects. With a few modifications, that's exactly what we need. He pointed to a massive asteroid excavator, its drill arms now fitted with magnetic grapples and cutting lasers. These machines have been working in zero gravity for decades. They're tough, reliable, and the aliens won't see them coming because they look like ordinary work equipment. Meanwhile, near Jupiter, Commander Bae Suzy's reconnaissance team had successfully infiltrated the Nethys Crystal Fleet. Floating among the alien ships in their disguised vessel, they used passive scanners to study the enemy up close. Fascinating, whispered Dr. Park Jinwoo, the team's scientist, as he analyzed the readings. Their ships are powered by resonance crystals. The entire hull vibrates at specific frequencies to generate energy. Is that useful? Suzy asked quietly. Very. Look at these patterns. Jinwoo showed her the scanner display. If we could disrupt those resonance frequencies, their power systems would become unstable. Maybe even overload. Suzy smiled in the darkness. And we know all about frequency disruption, don't we? She was thinking about human mining operations, where sonic charges were used to break apart asteroids. The same technology that split rocks might work on crystal alien ships. At Saturn, another reconnaissance team led by pilot Choi Yuna was studying the Vex bioships. These vessels looked like giant sea creatures made of metal and flesh, with tentacles and organic-looking hulls that pulsed like heartbeats. They're all connected, reported specialist Nam Woo-hyun over the comm. Some kind of neural network. The smaller ships receive commands from the larger ones through biological signals. Yuna nodded, making notes. So if we cut the connection between command ships and the fleet, the smaller ships would be lost. like cutting the head off a snake. Back on Earth, Admiral Park Ji-soo received reports from all reconnaissance teams. The intelligence was better than she had hoped. Both alien fleets had critical weaknesses that human technology could exploit. It's ironic, she told Dr. Kim Tae-hyung as they reviewed the data. They're so advanced that they've forgotten how to be simple. Their ships are powerful, but they're also fragile in ways they don't expect. Tae-hyung looked at the fleet positions on the tactical display. The timing will be critical. If we move too early, they'll detect us. Too late, and they'll have already attacked Earth. That's why we need to be patient, Ji-soo replied. Let them come to us. Let them think they've already won. 48 hours remained. In secret facilities across the solar system, human workers labored around the clock. Asteroid mining ships were fitted with stealth systems scavenged from deep space probes. Construction mechs received upgraded sensors and communication arrays. Even simple cargo haulers were modified with magnetic grapples and towing cables strong enough to move spacecraft. The plan was audacious in its simplicity. Instead of building better weapons to fight the aliens, humans would use their existing industrial equipment in ways the aliens would never expect. Commander Velthar of the Nethys Empire stood on his command bridge, reviewing reports from his fleet. The humans continue their pathetic attempts at diplomacy, he told his subordinates. They still believe they can negotiate their way out of this. Should we respond to their latest transmission? Asked his second-in-command. Ignore them. Let them waste their final hours on useless hope. What Velthar didn't know was that the diplomatic transmissions were actually cover for something else entirely. Each message contained hidden data packets, allowing human ships scattered throughout the system to coordinate their movements without being detected. At the same time, War Prime Gorthak of the Vex was growing impatient with the crystal aliens. The Nethys positioned their fleet closer to the primitive world, he complained to his bioship commanders. They seek to claim the humans first. Shall we move to intercept? Asked one of his captains. Not yet. Let them think they have the advantage. When the humans surrender, we will take our share by force if necessary. This mutual distrust between the alien fleets was exactly what Admiral Ji-soo had counted on. The reconnaissance teams had reported that both fleets were watching each other as much as they were watching Earth. Each empire suspected the other of planning betrayal. Dr. Kim Tae-hyung had crafted humanity's surrender message very carefully. The message to the Nethys included subtle hints that the Vex had threatened humanity first. The message to the Vex suggested that the Nethys were planning to claim all humans for themselves. Neither alien fleet realized they were receiving slightly different versions of the same message. 24 hours remained. As the deadline approached, both alien fleets began moving toward Earth. The crystal ships of the Nethys accelerated from Jupiter's orbit, their hulls shimmering with energy. The bioships of the Vex emerged from Saturn's rings like awakening monsters. On Earth, the last civilian transports departed for the outer colonies. Cities appeared to empty as people fled to underground shelters. To watching alien sensors, it looked like humanity was preparing for invasion or surrender. In reality, most of the fleeing civilians were actually military personnel and volunteers heading to hidden bases throughout the asteroid belt. The empty cities were full of automated systems designed to make Earth look abandoned. Commander Bae Susie's team made their final preparations, drifting silently among the Nethys ships. Each member carried a small device built from mining equipment, a resonance scrambler designed to disrupt the crystal aliens' power systems. Remember, Susie transmitted on a coded frequency. Wait for the signal. When both fleets reach Earth orbit, we hit them simultaneously. Make every shot count. Similar teams floated invisibly among the Vex bioships carrying neural disruptors, based on human medical equipment used to treat brain disorders. If the reconnaissance was correct, these devices would sever the connection between the bioships and their command vessels. As the alien fleets closed in on Earth, Admiral Ji-soo stood in her underground command center, watching the tactical display. Hundreds of modified human vessels waited in the darkness, hidden among asteroids and space debris. Thousands of volunteers prepared to risk everything for their species' survival. All teams report ready, announced her communications officer. Ji-soo took a deep breath. In a few hours, humanity would either be free or extinct. There was no middle ground. Send the final transmission to both fleets, she ordered. Tell them we surrender unconditionally and are prepared to discuss terms. As the message went out, she smiled grimly. The aliens expected surrender, and surrender they would get. Just not the kind they were expecting. The trap was set. Now they had to spring it. The Nethys Crystal Fleet arrived at Earth first, their blue glowing ship spreading out in formation around the planet. Commander Velthar expected to see signs of human activity, ships fleeing, defensive positions, desperate last stands. Instead, he found something far more puzzling. Earth was silent. Report, Velthar commanded his sensor operator. The planet shows minimal life signs, sir. The cities appear abandoned. Space stations are running on automated systems only. I'm detecting some broadcast signals, but they're just repeating emergency messages. Velthar studied the data with growing confusion. Where are they? Surely the humans haven't all fled their home world. Perhaps they committed mass suicide rather than face capture, suggested his second-in-command. Some primitive species do this when cornered. While the crystal aliens puzzled over Earth's empty appearance, the Vex biofleet arrived from the other direction. War Prime Gorthak was equally confused by what his sensors showed. The Nethys are already here, he growled, watching the crystal ships patrol around Earth. But where are the humans they came to collect? Neither alien commander realized that thousands of human eyes were watching them from hidden positions throughout the asteroid belt. Captain Kang Minjae floated in the modified cargo ship Iron Will, painted black and disguised as space debris, less than a kilometer from the nearest Nethys vessel. Teams Alpha through Delta. Report status, he whispered into his comm. Alpha team in position near the Nethys command ship. Came the reply from Commander Bay. Susie, resonance scramblers are ready for deployment. Beta team positioned among the Vex bioships, reported Specialist Lee Hanna. Neural, disruptors armed and ready. Gamma, and Delta team standing by with recovery vessels. Added technician Nam Woo-yun, from his position deeper in the asteroid field. On Earth, Admiral Park Jisoo watched the alien fleets through hidden sensor arrays. Both fleets were exactly where her tactical computers had predicted they would be. The Nethys ships formed a standard occupation pattern around Earth, while the Vex fleet maintained a threatening distance from their crystal rivals. Phase 1 is complete, she announced to her command staff. Both fleets are in optimal position. Begin Phase 2. The signal went out across the solar system on channels the aliens couldn't detect, hidden in the background radiation of space itself. Commander Bay Susie received the signal and activated her team's first target. The resonance scramblers, devices built from human mining equipment, were designed to do exactly what their name suggested: scramble the precise frequency resonance that powered Nethys crystal ships. She attached the first scrambler to the hull of a massive crystal cruiser, using magnetic clamps disguised as space debris. The device was no larger than a briefcase, but it contained sonic generators powerful enough to crack asteroids. First scrambler deployed, she reported quietly. Around her, 19 other team members were attaching similar devices to ships throughout the Nethys fleet. At the same time, Specialist Lee Hanna's team was infiltrating the Vex bioships. The neural disruptors were even smaller than the resonance scramblers, designed to fit inside the organic ports that covered the bioships' hulls. These ships are like giant brains, she whispered to her team. The disruptors need to go in the neural junction points, those pulsing areas where the organic and mechanical parts connect. One by one, the disruptors were planted throughout the Vex fleet. Each device was programmed to activate simultaneously, sending out interference patterns that would confuse the bioship's shared consciousness. Commander Velthar was growing increasingly frustrated with the mystery of Earth's silence. He ordered his ships to move closer to the planet, preparing to send boarding parties to the apparently abandoned space stations. Sir, his communications officer announced, we're receiving a transmission from the Vex fleet. War Prime Gorthak requests a meeting to discuss dividing the human resources. Tell the bio-creature that the Nethys Empire claimed this system first. Velthar replied coldly. Any humans here belong to us. This message, intercepted and recorded by human listening posts, was exactly what Admiral Jisoo had hoped for. The two alien fleets were focused on each other instead of looking for human threats. War Prime Gorthak's response was predictably aggressive. The Vex Dominion recognizes no Crystal Empire claims. We will take our share of the human biomass by force if necessary. Both alien fleets began moving into confrontation positions, their weapons powering up for potential battle. It was the perfect moment for humanity to strike. All teams, execute Phase 3, Admiral Jisoo commanded. Across both alien fleets, the hidden devices activated simultaneously. On the Nethys ships, the resonant scramblers sent out powerful sonic pulses directly into the crystal hulls. The carefully tuned frequencies that powered the ships suddenly became chaotic noise. Crystal power cores cracked and failed. Energy systems overloaded. Life support began shutting down as the ships lost main power. "What's happening?" Commander Velthar shouted as his command bridge went dark. Emergency lighting flickered on as his ship drifted helplessly. "Power core failure across the entire fleet," his engineer reported. "The crystals are resonating at random frequencies. I can't stabilize them." At the same time, the Vex bioships were experiencing their own crisis. The neural disruptors sent confusing signals through their organic nervous systems. Ships that had moved as one coordinated fleet suddenly began acting independently, confused and directionless. Some bioships stopped responding to commands entirely. Others began moving erratically, occasionally firing weapons at random targets, including other Vex vessels. "The fleet mind is broken." War Prime Gorthak's bio-advisor reported in panic. "The ships can no longer communicate properly. Many are reverting to basic instinctive behavior." Both alien commanders realized at the same moment that they were under attack. But when they looked around for the enemy, they saw only empty space and drifting asteroids. "Where are they?" Velthar demanded, his ship shaking as more crystal power cores failed. "Who is attacking us?" The answer came from the darkness between the asteroids. Captain Kang Min-jae's modified cargo ship Iron Will emerged from its hiding place, followed by dozens of other disguised vessels. But instead of opening fire, they began doing something the aliens hadn't expected. They started towing away the disabled ships. Massive mining excavators, their drill arms replaced with magnetic grapples, latched onto drifting Nethys vessels and began pulling them toward the asteroid belt. Construction mechs designed for building space stations used their manipulator arms to grab smaller bioships and haul them away. "They're stealing our ships," Gorthak roared, watching his vessels disappear into the asteroid field one by one. The aliens, who could still move, tried to pursue, but they found themselves facing a maze of asteroids where human ships appeared and disappeared like ghosts. Mining vessels that had worked in the belt for decades knew every hiding place, every drift pattern, every safe route through the floating rocks. "This is impossible," Velthar said as another of his cruisers vanished into the asteroid field. "These primitives don't have the technology for this kind of operation." He was wrong. The humans didn't have advanced military technology, but they had something else: decades of experience working in the harsh environment of space, and the ingenuity to turn their industrial equipment into tools of war. As more alien ships disappeared into the darkness, both commanders began to realize the horrible truth. They hadn't been defeated by superior weapons or advanced technology. They had been outmaneuvered by beings they had dismissed as primitive, using nothing more than mining equipment and construction tools. The humans weren't destroying the alien fleets. They were taking them apart piece by piece, ship by ship, and vanishing back into the asteroid belt, where pursuit was nearly impossible. For the first time since arriving in the solar system, both alien commanders felt something they hadn't experienced in years of conquest: fear. In her underground command center, Admiral Jisoo watched the tactical display as ship after ship disappeared from alien fleet positions. The plan was working better than she had dared hope. "Ma'am," her communications officer reported, "we're receiving panic transmissions from both alien fleets. They're requesting reinforcements and reporting that their ships are vanishing." Jisoo smiled grimly. "Let them call for help. By the time reinforcements arrive, there won't be anything left to reinforce. The humans had shown the galaxy what happened when you underestimated Earth's children. The lesson was just beginning." War Prime Gorthak watched in horror as another of his bioships simply vanished into the asteroid belt. One moment it was there, drifting helplessly after the neural disruptors had severed its connection to the fleet mind. The next moment it was gone, pulled away by what looked like floating space debris. "Impossible," he muttered, his mechanical parts whirring as stress hormones flooded his biological systems. "How can primitive mining equipment overpower our warships?" The answer came from Commander Yu Ara, floating in her modified construction mech Silent Storm. Her machine, originally designed to build space stations, now carried enough magnetic grapples to secure an entire starship. The space debris the aliens saw was actually camouflaged human equipment, designed to look like asteroids and scrap metal. Target secured, she reported quietly as her team finished attaching towing cables to a Vex cruiser. Beginning extraction to Base 7. Base 7 was one of dozens of hidden facilities the humans had carved into large asteroids over the past 72 hours. Each base was equipped with analysis equipment, repair facilities, and holding areas for alien prisoners. Dr. Jung Hoseok worked frantically in Base 3, studying the Vex bioship they had captured an hour earlier. As a biologist who had spent years studying how human brains worked, he was fascinated by the alien neural networks. "It's incredible," he told his research team. "The entire ship is like a giant nerve cell. The biological parts process information, while the mechanical parts act on it, but without connection to the command ships they become confused and helpless." "Can we use this against them?" asked his assistant Dr. Song Yura. "Already working on it," Hoseok replied, adjusting a device that looked like medical equipment. "If we can tap into their neural network, we might be able to turn their own communication system against them." Meanwhile, in the outer system, Commander Velthar was desperately trying to salvage what remained of his crystal fleet. Of his original 247 ships, only 31 were still operational. The rest had either been disabled by the resonant scramblers or towed away by the mysterious human salvage operation. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission," his communications officer announced. "From whom?" Velthar asked, hoping it was reinforcements from the Nethys Empire. "It appears to be from the humans, sir." Velthar's crystal eyes flared with anger. "Put them through. I want to hear what these primitives have to say." The screen flickered and Admiral Park Jisu's face appeared. She was sitting calmly in what looked like a command center, with status displays showing the locations of captured alien vessels. "Greetings, Commander Velthar," she said politely. "I hope you're beginning to understand your situation. You will release our ships immediately," Velthar demanded. "The Nethys Empire will not tolerate this aggression from primitives." Jisu smiled. "I'm afraid you're in no position to make demands. You came to our system with the intention of enslaving or destroying us. Now you're learning what happens when you underestimate humanity." On his bioship command center, War Prime Gorthak was receiving a similar transmission from Captain Lee Minho, who had returned to space aboard a modified mining platform. "Your bioships are fascinating," Minho said conversationally. "Our scientists are learning so much from studying them. Did you know that disrupting the neural connections causes the organic parts to revert to basic survival instincts?" "Return our vessels or face the wrath of the Vex Dominion," Gorthak roared. "The Vex Dominion?" Minho looked amused. "You mean the 19 ships you have left out of your original 198? I don't think you're in a position to threaten anyone." The truth was becoming clear to both alien commanders. The humans hadn't just defended themselves. They had systematically dismantled two of the galaxy's most powerful fleets, using nothing more than industrial equipment and superior tactics. In Base 5, technician Nam Woo-yun was having the time of his life. As a specialist in salvage operations, he had never imagined he would be taking apart alien starships. Each vessel was a treasure trove of advanced technology. "Look at this power coupling," he told his team, pointing to a component from a Nethys crystal ship. "It's at least 1,000 years ahead of our best fusion reactors." "If we can figure out how it works, Answer," interrupted Engineer Park Soo-jin. "We're getting strange readings from the Vex ship in Bay 2. The biological components are still alive, and they seem to be trying to communicate." Woo-hyun followed her to the captured bioship, where Dr. Jung Hoseok was already working with a team of linguists and biologists. The ship's organic hull was pulsing with bioluminescent patterns. "It's trying to reconnect with the fleet mind," Hoseok explained. "But since we've isolated it, all it can do is broadcast its distress." "Actually, this gives me an idea." He turned to his computer and began typing rapidly. "If we can decode their biological communication system and send our own signals." Within an hour, Hoseok's team had created a crude but effective way to communicate with the Vex bioships. They sent a simple message through the captured vessel's neural transmitters. "Surrender now and your crews will be treated with respect. Continue fighting and more ships will be taken." The effect on the remaining Vex fleet was immediate and dramatic. Ships that had been trying to regroup suddenly stopped moving. Several biovessels began transmitting surrender codes. War Prime Gorthak couldn't believe what he was seeing. They're talking to our ships. How is this possible? Captain Song Minho, piloting his stealth vessel between the asteroids, reported the Vex surrender to Admiral Jisoo. Ma'am, 12 of their remaining ships are powering down weapons and requesting terms. What about the Nethys? She asked. Still fighting, but not effectively. Their remaining ships can't maneuver properly with damaged power cores. We should have them all rounded up within 6 hours. Commander Uara was leading the final phase of the operation, coordinating dozens of human salvage teams as they collected the last of the alien vessels. Her construction mech, designed for delicate assembly work in space, easily captured ships that had been built for conquest but not for evasion. It's almost funny, she told her team as they secured another crystal cruiser. These aliens have weapons that could destroy planets, but they never learn to hide or run away. They only know how to attack head-on. The final count was devastating for the aliens. Of the Nethys Empire's 247 ships, 216 had been captured or destroyed. Of the Vex Dominion's 198 vessels, 179 were now in human hands. Commander Velthar and War Prime Gorthak found themselves prisoners aboard their own command ships, which had been towed to a large asteroid base that the humans called Processing Center Alpha. They were brought before Admiral Park Jisoo in person, under heavy guard. The human admiral looked tired but satisfied as she reviewed reports from her various teams. You wanted to know how primitives defeated your advanced fleets, she said without looking up from her tablet. The answer is simple. You studied our technology, but you never studied us. Explain, Velthar demanded. Though his voice lacked its earlier arrogance, Jisoo finally looked at them. You saw our ships and weapons and decided we were weak. But you never looked at our history. You never asked what humans do when we're backed into a corner with no way out. She gestured to the walls around them, which were covered with displays showing human achievements. Deep space mining operations, asteroid colonies, orbital construction projects. We've been working in space for over 400 years, she continued. Every human out here knows how to survive in an environment that will kill you in seconds if you make a mistake. We know how to improvise, how to repair things with spare parts, how to turn any tool into a weapon if we have to. War Prime Gorthak's biological parts shuddered. You used mining equipment against us. We used everything, Jisoo corrected. Mining drills, construction mechs, cargo haulers, even emergency repair kits. You brought warships designed to conquer planets. We brought tools designed to survive in space. Guess which ones were more useful? The two alien commanders finally understood the magnitude of their mistake. They had dismissed humanity as primitive, never realizing that primitive could also mean adaptable, resourceful, and impossible to predict. What happens now? Velthar asked quietly. Admiral Jisoo smiled, but it wasn't a cruel expression. Now we talk. Real negotiations between equals. Because whether you like it or not, humanity just became a power in this galaxy, and you're going to help us understand how that galaxy works. Outside the asteroid base, human teams continued their work, integrating alien technology with human engineering, learning secrets that would change their civilization forever. The primitives had won. Ambassador Kim Jenny stood before the holographic projector in the asteroid base's main conference room, preparing to address beings she had never imagined she would meet. Around her, the technical staff made final adjustments to the communication array built from captured alien technology. 3 days had passed since the last alien ship had been secured. Now it was time for humanity to announce itself to the galaxy. Connection established, ma'am, reported communications specialist Lee Donghae. We're linked to the Galactic Council chambers on Nexus Prime. Jenny nodded and activated the projector. The image that appeared showed a vast circular chamber filled with representatives from dozens of alien species. At the center stood a tall, elegant being with silver skin and 4 arms, the council speaker. Greetings, unknown species, the speaker said in a voice that sounded like wind chimes. You are broadcasting on restricted frequencies used only by council members. Identify yourself. I am Ambassador Kim Jenny, representing the Human Federation of Earth, she replied calmly. We are broadcasting from the Sol system, where we have just concluded first contact with the Nethys Empire and the Vex Dominion. A murmur ran through the chamber. The speaker's silver face showed confusion. That is impossible. Both the Nethys and Vex dispatch conquest fleets to your system. Surely you mean you have surrendered to one of them? Jenny smiled. Actually, we have captured both fleets. Commander Velthar of the Nethys and War Prime Gorthak of the Vex are currently our guests, along with the crews of 395 ships that formerly belonged to their empires. The chamber erupted in shocked voices speaking dozens of languages. Several council members stood up in disbelief. The speaker raised all four arms for silence. You claim to have defeated two of the galaxy's most powerful military forces? The speaker asked. What weapons did you use? What allies assisted you? No allies, Jenny replied. As for weapons, we used mining equipment, construction tools, and cargo haulers. The kind of things any spacefaring civilization uses for industrial work. In the corner of the screen, she could see a reptilian council member frantically consulting what looked like a data tablet. He spoke urgently to the speaker, who listened with growing amazement. Council member Zeth informs me that our deep space sensors confirm your claims, the speaker announced. The Nethys and Vex fleets have indeed vanished from your system. But how is this possible? Your species was classified as primitive, barely past nuclear technology. Admiral Park Jisoo stepped into view beside the ambassador. That was your first mistake. And theirs. You looked at our technology level and assumed that told you everything about us. She gestured, and the display behind her showed images of the captured alien vessels being studied by human engineers. We may be primitive by your standards, but we're also adaptable. When two fleets came to enslave or destroy us, we did what humans always do when faced with impossible odds. We found a way to survive. Captain Lee Minho joined them on screen, still wearing his work suit from the salvage operations. The aliens made the same mistake that many of our own enemies made throughout human history. They thought advanced technology automatically meant victory. They forgot that wars are won by strategy, not just by weapons. In the asteroid bases scattered throughout the Sol system, the integration of human and alien technology continued. Dr. Jung Hoseok had successfully established communication protocols with the Vex bioships, learning how their organic technology worked. Engineer Oh Se-hoon was reverse engineering Nethys crystal power systems, finding ways to adapt them to human ships. Most importantly, the captured alien crews were being treated well, which was causing a revolution in their thinking about humans. They could have killed us all. Commander Velthar admitted to his Nethys subordinates as they watched human technicians carefully maintaining their crystal power cores. Instead, they're keeping our ships functional and treating our wounded. War Prime Gorthak was having similar thoughts as he watched Dr. Jung Hoseok work to heal damaged bioship components. The primitive species shows more mercy than either of our empires would have. Back in the council chamber, the questions continued. An insectoid being with multiple eyes spoke up. What are your intentions now? Will you use the captured technology to launch your own conquest campaigns? Ambassador Jenny shook her head. Conquest was never our goal. We simply wanted to survive. Now that we have, we're interested in trade, diplomacy, and learning about the galaxy we're now part of. But you must understand, said another council member, this changes everything. If a primitive species can defeat the Nethys and Vex so completely, it calls into question the entire galactic power structure. Admiral Jisoo spoke again. Good. Maybe it's time the galaxy learned that calling someone primitive doesn't mean they're powerless. And maybe it's time to realize that the most dangerous opponent is the one you underestimate. The transmission continued for hours as the council tried to understand what had happened in the Sol system. Meanwhile, in the asteroid bases, former enemies were beginning to work together. Technician Nam Woo-hyun found himself working alongside Nethys engineers to repair a damaged crystal matrix. Your resonance scramblers were crude but effective, admitted Christek Velnoon. We never imagined anyone would think to use sonic mining equipment against our hulls. We never imagined we'd be fixing crystal ships, Nam replied with a grin. But that's what humans do. We adapt. Similar scenes were playing out throughout the captured fleets. Vex bioengineers were teaching humans about organic technology, while human doctors were helping treat bioship components that had been damaged in the capture operation. It's remarkable, Dr. Song Yura told her research team. These two species have been at war for centuries, but working together with humans, they're making breakthrough discoveries. As news of humanity's victory spread through the galaxy, the effect was immediate and profound. Species that had been considered weak or primitive by the major powers began to take hope. If humans could defeat the Nethys and Vex, perhaps the galaxy's power structure wasn't as fixed as everyone thought. On the trading world of Kepler Station, a merchant named Quilox received word that a new species had joined the galactic community by capturing 2 conquest fleets. Humans, they're called, he told his partner. Apparently they turned mining equipment into warships. Ingenious, his partner replied. I'd like to meet these humans. Anyone clever enough to defeat the Nethys and Vex with industrial tools might have other interesting ideas. Similar conversations were happening on thousands of worlds across the galaxy. Humanity, a species no one had heard of 3 days ago, was suddenly the most talked about civilization in known space. In the Sol system, the final phase of the operation was beginning. Ambassador Kim Jenny met with Commander Velthar and War Prime Gorthak in a conference room aboard Processing Center Alpha. You have 2 choices, she told them. You can return to your empires and report that you were defeated by primitives using mining equipment. Or you can stay here and help us build something new. What kind of something new? Velthar asked. A different kind of first contact, Admiral Jisoo explained as she joined the meeting. One based on mutual respect instead of conquest. Your knowledge of galactic civilization, combined with human adaptability, could create technologies and strategies that benefit everyone. War Prime Gorthak's biological parts showed signs of deep thought. The Vex Dominion will not accept our failure easily. They may send more fleets. Let them, Captain Lee Minho said confidently. We've learned a lot from studying your ships. Next time we'll be ready with more than just mining equipment. 6 months later, Ambassador Kim Jenny stood once again before the Galactic Council, but this time the chamber was different. Representatives from smaller, previously overlooked species filled seats that had once been empty. The balance of power in the galaxy was shifting. The Human Federation wishes to formally apply for membership in the Galactic Council, she announced. We bring with us new perspectives on technology, diplomacy, and the true meaning of strength. Behind her, holographic displays showed the Sol system's transformation. Human ships now incorporated the best of 3 civilizations' technology. Alien refugees who had chosen to stay and build something new worked alongside human engineers. The asteroid bases had become centers of learning and innovation. The council speaker, now familiar with humanity's surprising capabilities, smiled. The application is approved unanimously. Welcome to the galactic community, humans of Earth. As the session ended, Jenny reflected on how much had changed. Humanity had gone from a dismissed primitive species to a respected galactic power in less than a year. They had done it not through conquest or superior technology, but through the simple human traits of adaptability, ingenuity, and the refusal to give up when things seemed hopeless. The galaxy had learned a valuable lesson. Never underestimate a species simply because their technology seems primitive. Sometimes the most dangerous opponent is the one you dismiss as harmless. And in the deep space laboratories of the Sol system, human scientists worked alongside their former enemies, developing technologies that would change the galaxy forever. They had proven that being primitive and being powerless were 2 very different things.